Hello there and welcome back to my channel. I am the Rogue Witcher. For those of you that are new here, I do content on all things Marvel, Star Wars, DC, Lord of the Rings, Harry Potter, you name it, anything sci-fi and fantasy really. In today's video we will be covering a movie ranking of the Harry Potter films. Before I get into that though, please hit the like button. I'm setting this video a like target of 10 likes. Hopefully we can hit that and help beat the pesky YouTube algorithm. Put down a comment below if you agree with my list, disagree, your own list, all that sort of stuff. Get engaged in the comment section. And subscribe if you like this sort of content and want to see more of it. Thank you. And without further ado, let's get into today's video. In at number 8, Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone. I give Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone a 6.8 out of 10. Now, I like this movie. I think it's a very solid start to the Harry Potter franchise, and it was always going to be very difficult considering the demand and pressure with the fan base of the books. But I think this film does all the basics well, and that's why it's not super high on the ranking, because I just feel each film almost they go from strength to strength. No, what I like about this film is the kids. I think the casting's brilliant. It's so, it could be so easy to mess this up with the wrong kids because they have to hit that certain emotional triggers for the audience. You want to like the good kids, and root for them. You want to despise the bad kids, like Draco, you want to have a bit of a ooh for him, and you do. It's great acting, really well portrayed by the kids. And yeah, really good casting in my opinion on that front. I love the wardrobe. I think the costumes are so fantastic. That early 2000s feel, I really enjoy it. I think the effects and how they use practical effects and of course some visual effects, I think they blend it really well, but I really think they used a lot more practical use back then, and I think it shows, and I think the world feels more real and you really enjoy it like that. Yeah, no, I thought the wardrobe and the set design and all that had a really good mystical wizardry feel, and really suited the tone, because the tone for these first couple in particular of the Harry Potter movies are more child friendly, and I think they do a really good job of upping the tone with the age that they grow, because in some regards a lot of kids are watching a bit like me when I started watching, and you're growing with the characters, you're getting older as they are, and so your taste's a bit mature and the tone and everything like that. So no, I think Harry Potter did that very well. But Philosopher's Stone, I thought it was a good film. I thought it was a very easygoing film. Kids, all of a sudden, especially Harry, doesn't know, what he is.
You're a wizard, Harry.
And all of a sudden, he's now in this mystical land. He's had a rough upbringing. It's not gone well for him. And now it's all this, dreamland adventure that he probably thought of in the little cupboard under the stairs is come true, and he's off to fantasy Hogwarts. He has friends. It's a very easygoing plotline and story. Scampus, mischievous kids getting up to no good, uncover a sort of a plot and think they have an evil teacher, and go around causing havoc, trying to be the heroes and uncover the story. No, I think it was really good, easygoing. The double cross, the whole film, you think it's Snape, and then right at the end it's not Snape. They do that really well. I really think the Dumbledore in this film, particularly in the first two, was fantastic. The actor, I think it suited actually really well him being Dumbledore for these first two movies, because the tone was very more childlike on these first two. The colour palette and the tone of the way they shot the film, it felt more child friendly in these first two, and I think he was the perfect Dumbledore for these sort of films, because I'm not sure he could have portrayed the more darker, more complex Dumbledore further down in the line. But no, I really like this film. The Philosopher's Stone, this magical thing that can give you what you want, restore health, all this sort of thing. Voldemort wants it, he's still around, with Professor Quirrell, like we say, didn't see it coming. You have a real good feel good with the bond between the teachers and the kids, with Hagrid and Professor McGonagall and Dumbledore. No, I thought this was a really good opening film to the Harry Potter franchise. In at number 7, with a 7 out of 10, The Chamber of Secrets. Again, I like The Chamber of Secrets. I think it follows on from Philosopher's Stone very well. Again, this one is a little bit darker, but still in that child-friendly space. Again, I think, the colour palette and the tone got slightly darker. you know, but again, the costumes, the visual effects.
Harry Potter must go home.
Again, I want to say the music in these films, brilliantly scored, very well done, as per usual with these sort of genres back in the early 2000s. But no, I really like Chamber of Secrets because it's a bit of a mystery feel. You know, you're on a bit of a mystery, trying to uncover what's going on, who's doing these things, you know. This Chamber of Secrets, does it exist? No, really kid-friendly, really engages you into the plot. You know, these attacks keep coming and they're trying to uncover who, how and why. You know, Harry, Hermione, Ron, you know, the usual group. I thought it was really done very well. Dobby, you know, we get introduced to Dobby, another fantastic character.
You shall not harm Harry Potter.
That's what these films do really well, introducing these mythical characters that you end up having a very good connection for. But no, I really liked the Chamber of Secrets. You know, we're setting back again. We're going a bit more into the roots. I like how we hear about, you know, the first 4 people who started, you know, Hogwarts and the houses, and how, you know, the heir to Slytherin will, you know, take over where the first one left off. He went a bit rogue, and that's why they believe Slytherin house is always a bit, you know, Salazar Slytherin was a bit, you know, and he supposedly started the Chamber of Secrets. And yeah, no, I like all these little subplots and little tidbits that just add to the lore and the world building. Again, I think it was really well shot. You know, the kids, again, brilliant acting. I think they upped their performance. You know, it got slightly more adult. I really liked the you know, introduction of Voldemort, in a sense. Of course, Tom Riddle and Tom Riddle's diary.
Against the famous Harry Potter.
And, you know, it playing with Harry, you know, setting him up and giving him maybe the wrong idea, you know, painting a lot on Hagrid. No, I thought this was a really good film. And, you know, I thought it, you know, it even had some humorous moments, you know, with the funny teacher pretending, you know, he's a very good wizard when he's not. And it sets it all up very well for the big finale of Harry going toe-to-toe with a massive snake-like basilisk, you know, sort of lizard, snake, dragon thing. And Harry getting, you know, the sword of Gryffindor, you know, and having a really good final act as well, because that's what's really important in films as well, to really, you know, finish on a strong, and it did. Harry going toe-to-toe with this massive creature, outwitting it, you know, blinding it. Yes, bit of help with Dumbledore's Phoenix, but, you know, again, an instance that he went up against a version of Voldemort. But like in the first film with Professor Quirrell, he's now gone up with another version of the past. You know, we now know it was, of course, a Horcrux. And he goes up against and destroys the diary. No, I thought very well done. Now, again, this film upped it for me in terms of the storyline, in terms of the world building. Again, with set design, visual effects. No, Chamber of Secrets, very good film. Really enjoyed that one. In at number 6, The Prisoner of Azkaban. I give The Prisoner of Azkaban a 7.3 out of 10. It's tough because I really like The Prisoner of Azkaban. And when I was younger, it was my favourite. But as I've got older and I've rewatched, it's a little further down on my list.
No, Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban.
But no, I really do like The Prisoner of Azkaban. This is when it started to turn a bit more tone-wise to that teenager, to that bit darker sort of tone. Yes, it's still a kids' movie, of course it is, but you started to see and feel it yourself watching that this was getting more serious and more adult-like, if you will. But no, I really like The Prisoner of Azkaban because, like I say, it does get a bit darker, which I enjoy, and things get a bit more, excuse the pun, serious.
Sirius Black!
In terms of the stakes, I thought, again, I love how these films are shot. You know, I keep saying it, but the visual effects is always on point. You know, the practical, you know, in the way they shoot these things on set. You know, prop department, costume, everything. It all looks stunning visually. You know, I really can't praise it enough how these films were made. I really like the plot and the storyline, you know, and a dangerous escaped prisoner, you know, a bad wizard gone wrong is coming after Harry, and he sort of feels the burden on his shoulder that, you know, again, a bit like with the Voldemort thing, that, you know, it's all around him and dark forces are around him. I love that we get a bit more of an emotional connection in this movie with him engaging Professor Lupin, a friend of his parents, who can tell him some old stories, and how he sees his father in him, and Harry has a mentor and someone he can really look up to, because he's a friend of his father's and he wants to know all he can about them. I think that was done very well. Again, I love Harry, Ron, Hermione, the way they're always just, their interactions with each other are brilliant. You believe that they're best friends. Their chemistry comes through on screen. We also get that little early sort of moment when Harry and Buckbeak have a moment, and he gets a bit scared and Hermione grabs Ron's hand. Little seeds being planted. I think they do that very well in the film. But now again, the visual effects, Buckbeak, done brilliantly. It looks stunning. Like I said, the way they handle these creatures, they do it very well. They do it very, very well. But again, back to Sirius Black. I think he's fantastic in the film. There's this, because he's not in it that much, but there's this looming threat, this dark, wizard is coming. We have the Dementors, which really make the film, because again, they keep getting involved. They keep coming after Harry. It's scary. It's more adult. It's darker. It's done very well, and we're building up to the big crescendo, if you will. And they engage with Sirius, and of course, turns out this whole time, no, Sirius is his godfather. Sirius was framed. He's actually the good guy. It's Wormtail, another friend who betrayed his parents. Again, we learn more about, again, I say world building, more about what went wrong with Harry when he was a kid and his parents, and how their deaths came to be. Again, more information, more backstory. Again, building and building. Harry really steps up as well in this film, like he does in all of them, but he steps up in a major way. He has no problem going up against, the Lupin when he turns into a werewolf. He has no problem fighting the Dementors to save Sirius. He steps up.
Expecto Patronum!
And shows that, he is the chosen one, in a sense, that he's growing, he's becoming more adult, and he's stepping up because he's going to need to. I really like The Prisoner of Azkaban. Really good film. In at number 5, The Deathly Hallows Part 1. Ooh, what to give The Deathly Hallows Part 1? I'm probably going to give it 7.5. I think it's a very safe number, because it's not that I don't like this movie, it's just that I don't love this movie. I think it's good, don't get me wrong, but it leaves you wanting the big finale. I know it's difficult because they've had to split the book into 2 films, so you've got to make it exciting in its own right, but really it's all a setup for Deathly Hallows Part 2. But no, this film, obviously, in this part of the list, they're far more adult. We're getting towards the end of the saga. We know all we need to know. The Horcruxes, are a major threat. We need to go. We need to stop them. And I like this film, but the reason I don't think I connect with it as much is they're not in Hogwarts. We're not in that sort of, safe fantasy sort of mystical space, wizardry-wise, that we're used to. We're out on the road. Renegades being hunted, which does have its, cool moments as well. But, music-wise and costume-wise, it just doesn't feel as much like a Harry Potter movie as previous ones. Again, I do like the hunting the Horcrux storyline. I do think it's interesting. It's different. We get some friction between Ron and Harry and Hermione, and the strain and stress of it all being too much. Because remember, they're still young, even though they are getting to more adults. This world-ending pressure. Horcruxes. Manipulating and messing with them. I still think it's a good film. I still think it was shot very well, because obviously a different sort of challenge now, because they're not on the usual sets. Like I say, they're out there, hunting these Horcruxes down, coming across, different challenges. They don't have the backup of the teachers or former mentors. They're sort of on their own, just the 3 of them, which is fine. They know they've got each other's backs. They're all worried about family, friends, loved ones, so there's a lot on the mind. I do think it was done very well, shot very well. Again, like I say, it was good. It just left me wanting to get to part 2. Like this was the starter of a meal. Where's my main course? Where's my dessert, if you will? I do think they ended it well, because although, they couldn't do anything too big, because obviously it's early part of the book, but, really incorporating, going up against Bellatrix, in the mansion, and what's happening to Hermione is heartbreaking, and, the stakes of we need to get out of here. I thought it was done very well. Of course, Dobby's back. We love Dobby.
And Dobby has come to save Harry Potter and his friends.
And then they go and crush us They crush us with what happened to Dobby. Oh, horrible. How dare they do that?
Harry Potter.
Again, but that just speaks to the emotional ties that they've done with these films. They've made you care that much about a mythical, you know, CGI, you know, character creature that it could break you. No, really good, and a really good ending to this film, and setting up where we go with part 2. Yeah, no, that's all I've got to say on Deathly Hallows Part 1. In at number 4, Order of the Phoenix. I give this movie an 8 out of 10. I love this film. You know, I really feel that this film is, how can I phrase it? It's the beginning of the end, in a sense. And I know that may seem a bit premature, but what I mean by that is it's the end of the days at Hogwarts, of just, you know, studying, things going wrong, them combating it and having an ending going to the next year. Now this is setting up what's coming to be over the next few films, you know, sort of less and less Hogwarts, less and less, you know, about class and about the wizardry and about something going wrong, and more about the overlooming threat of Voldemort. But no, what I like about this movie is that it really sets Harry finally, not finally, because he is of course the centre of all the films, but him stepping up and almost embracing the chosen one role. You know, beforehand he's been, you know, he's sort of hesitant, although he's happy to get in on the act. He doesn't like the, you know, being in the spot, doesn't like, you know, people overpraising him, saying he's this. He steps into it a little, not out of really wanting to, but out of necessity for Dumbledore. The storyline is very good. It's getting dark. You know, the powers that be in the Ministry are painting out that Voldemort, is not back. He's not back, and that Harry's a liar. And so and Dumbledore's sticking up for Harry. So there's this real Dumbledore Hogwarts against the Ministry. Is, you know, he's lying. Everything's safe. You know, classic politicians trying to spin their narrative. And it starts to affect and seep into the year at Hogwarts. They have, you know, Professor Dolores Umbridge come to Hogwarts, and she starts to, you know, she's been given special powers. She starts, you know, meddling with Hogwarts and Dumbledore and the feel. It gets very somber and dark. You know, she even, you know, interrogates aggressively, you know, students. No, but what I really like about the film is the way Harry steps up, you know, steps up for good.
Concentrate, Potter. Focus.
And becomes a leader, and you know, starts training, you know, the students, which I really like. Bit of, you know, an army feeling, like the Order, you know, their own order, if you will, and prepared to fight back. They want to be prepared for all the threats that now is facing. You know, Voldemort eventually is coming, you know, and we have to be ready. Again, I think, like each film, they up the tone and the seriousness so well that you don't even realise until after how well they've done it. Again, I think costume-wise, visually shot, again, stunning. You know, CGI, I think, you know, was done very well as well with Hagrid's brother. You know, the massive giant and the forest with is it centaurs? I believe centaurs. And I think everything is shot and looked very well. There's nothing that looks a bit out of place, especially for the time that it was shot. You know, the time period. I think it's done very well. I really do. I really like Order of the Phoenix. There's some very, you know, amazing individual scenes. Of course, the emotionalness of Harry dueling with Sirius, his godfather, going toe to toe. He calls him James, and then of course, unfortunately, horribly, Sirius, you know, passes on, and Harry again loses someone else. You know, it's horrible. I really liked when Harry and the students were fighting just a bit before that, holding their own, you know, their moment after all this training to shine and stand up for themselves. Of course, it all comes to a big finale when we get something that we've always wanted. Dumbledore going toe-to-toe with Voldemort as he appears. And a great big battle. I think that's shot very well. Would have liked maybe it just to be a bit longer and a bit more, you know, it felt a little quick, but that's just me being greedy. But yeah, shot amazingly with the water and the fire with the dragon, the glass. Now the effects are outstanding. And script, it goes under, you know, it goes under notice, but no, the way it's written and the way some of the dialect between the two characters, I think it's fantastic. I really do in these Harry Potter films. It's underrated. You know, it's like for example, at the end there with Harry and Dumbledore, it's not how you're alike, it's how you are not alike as well. And, you know, I think that the way he said it, you felt the emotion of the way he said it. And Harry acts, I mean, Daniel Radcliffe acts brilliantly in that scene when he's writhing in pain as he's battling, you know, Voldemort in the mind, and he chooses to go for hope. And, you know, you don't have friends and I feel sorry for you, I pity you. No, really, really good ending to Order of the Phoenix. Really is. It's a very strong film about the, you know, about Harry stepping into his own, you know, receiving the prophecy, finding out that, yeah, what he always suspected, it's me or him, it's, you know, it's me versus you, only one can walk away. No, really love Order of the Phoenix and everything that was done in it. Really, really good film. In at number 3, Goblet of Fire. I give this an 8 out of 10. This is probably, like, in a way, my favourite almost, but it's not just because of how good the other two are, but this was sort of the last one in the first like phase, if you will, of the Harry Potter films. You know, I see it as 1 and 2 kid-like films, 3 and 4 still kid-like but teeny films, and then the rest go more to a serious and a more adult place. No, I love Goblet of Fire. It's everything you want in a movie for me. You know, a tournament of challenges, you know, going from strength to strength, test to test. Brilliantly, brilliantly done. Again, the way it was shot, we say it in all these films, but how to bring these effects, especially for the time period it was done. The dragon, how amazing it looked, and the flying scenes on the broom. The underwater, you know, element of, you know, the dripping, I don't even know what the creatures were called, you know, mer creatures, you know, sort of not really mermaids, but, you know, mer creatures, you know, and the way Harry has to navigate through, and the effects of the how to breathe and the gills and all that. I think it's fantastically shot, I really do. Music, again, we say it, everyone, fantastic, on point, they just nail it every single time. But the story was very wholesome, you know, this you know, fantasy, you know, this huge tournament, you know, where wizards can test themselves in a battle of, you know, of the mind, wit, you know, intelligence with the old wand, you know, and who comes out on top, you know, danger, you know, it's very dangerous, there's an age restriction, so, you know, you think, oh, and then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, Harry Potter is in the tournament. He's not supposed to be, he's not old enough, you know, he's a child prodigy. Who's put him in there? So again, there's this sort of mystery feel of who's, you know, manipulating things behind the scenes. The story flows at an exceptionally very good pace. It ups the ante from each task to the next. Robert Pattinson plays Cedric Diggory, you know, another Hogwarts student, you know, who's in the tournament, and he's very good. He adds another element to the film. Again, the cast is brilliant. Harry has his first sort of, you know, moments of liking a girl in the film. Is it Miss Chang? I think her name was. Yeah, which is really good. We get more with the Ron-Hermione relationship, as she has a thing for Victor Crumb, and he gets a bit jealous, and it all comes to a head a bit emotionally at the end of the dance, and Harry can clearly tell. And no, I just think, and that was shot brilliantly, by the way, with the dance, with the costumes. Like I say, the costume is always on point in this film. No, I thought this film was brilliant. I love the challenges. I love how it was done. Mad-Eye Moody, who wasn't Moody, but was brilliant in the film. It's this wacky sort of, you know, off-the-cuff wizard who's not really, you know, all up there, but is sort of mentoring Harry. But of course, we know he's not. He's trying to help him, but also undermine him. I love the challenges, flying around, going up against a dragon, the underwater element, the maze. I love a maze, how, you know, messes with the mind and everything. No, I thought it was brilliantly done. And then it all comes to that final showdown, which was done. This is probably why it is one of my favourite films so brilliantly. The rebirth of Voldemort. Again, the visual effects of how he's like moulded into like a cauldron, and then, you know, reborn in this dark sort of circle of liquid. I thought it was done brilliantly. You know, Harry's trapped on his father's tomb. I don't know why I'm looking, it's not there.
How lies have fed your legend, Harry.
But no, it's done brilliantly. And it's his first real interaction with Voldemort. Yes, the spirit of Voldemort slightly was with Professor Quirrell, and the past, you know, incarnation of Tom Riddle Voldemort when he was, you know, a wizard in the Chamber of Secrets with the diary. But no, this is the first time up against fully fledged, at his peak of his powers, top of his game, Voldemort. And you can see at the beginning he's scared, you know. I think he's about 14 in this movie, you know. but he holds his own, you know. Tragically, Cedric passes on, you know, due to Wormtail, and Harry thinks, you know what, screw it, and just thinks, I'm just going to go at this, because, you know what, I'm not being scared anymore, you know. I think the exchanges between him and Voldemort, you know, Voldemort, the dialogue was brilliantly, how dark the scene was shot, and, you know, in a graveyard, it felt dark and cumbersome. No, I loved it. Again, the dialect, the story, the way they were exchanging back and forth, almost like a tennis match, you know, jostling with each other with words. Brilliant. It comes to a really good fight, you know, where Harry decides to hold his own, go toe-to-toe.
Harry, take my body back, will you?
Voldemort struggles. He realises with the wand situation that he might not be able to mortally hurt Harry with that wand. Excuse me. And the ghost of his previous victims help Harry, you know, come out of the wand and you know, sort of help him, and he escapes as the winner of the Triwizard Tournament, but obviously doesn't really feel that way, because obviously the very somber ending, and then you find out that Mad-Eye wasn't Mad-Eye Moody, you know, he was a Barty Crouch Jr. and had been manipulating him this whole time, and it sort of ends on that somber note, and that's why I like the ending, is the ending, you know, he speaks with Dumbledore as well, which is, I always love their interactions, Harry and Dumbledore. But it ends on a serious note of them going into, you know, the next phase of what's going to happen in the Harry Potter universe, the more adult stuff. Now that he's back, the stakes are far more higher. In at number 2, Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince. I give this an 8.9 out of 10. It's almost in the 9s. It's that good. I love this film. Again, super serious, darker tone, dark things are happening, Death Eaters are, you know, kidnapping people, all that sort of stuff. And, you know, we're building up, you know, after the back of the Order of the Phoenix. Now everyone knows that Dumbledore, Harry, was right, and that Voldemort is back. Dumbledore was correct as well. And it's all coming to a head. You know, it's all very dark. But what's really good about this film is Voldemort's not really in it. It's really so focused on Snape, which I like, because I love Snape. I think he's a great character. You know, he's not done enough justice. He's, as well as we know later on, he's sort of a good guy. But no, I really like this movie because it's an underlining story about Snape and about Dumbledore and about Harry. It's about the three of them in different ways. We learn about what the Horcruxes are in this movie, which really sets us up, of course, for the final big two, and Dumbledore's, you know, missions and excursions about trying to uncover, you know, this. And of course they needed the memory from the professor that they recruit at the start of the film, who sort of, you know, takes a soft spot for Harry, because he's a bit weird that he likes students with a lot of promise, and, you know, he sees it as almost like a football manager or a manager in another sport who's coaching, you know, the next, you know, crop of big talent, and you can say, oh, I was a mentor, I played a part, you know, a bit of an ego thing really. And so Harry, you know, gets to know him and, you know, goes undercover for Dumbledore and, you know, retreats the memory, and they finally know what it is and how now, that for the first time, that they now may have a way of defeating Voldemort. A plan is in place. But what I also really like about this movie is Harry has a very dark sort of journey along this film. You know, we know that he has a connection for the last movie with Lord Voldemort, which, you know, is always on his mind, you know, perhaps making him darker as well, battling his demons, if you will. But no, what I really like about this movie is Harry gets the book of the Half-Blood Prince and sort of, you know, gets a bit too much into it, and because he loves, you know, the sort of power and knowledge it's giving him, and it's helping him in his classes and his skills wizard-wise, and he's, you know, he's getting a little too immersed in it, and he goes a bit down a dark route, if you will, and it comes to a head when he really hurts Draco. You know, he knows Draco is doing bad things. He believes he's the one trying to, you know, poison people and hurt people and doing these bad things. And yeah, he then has to get rid of it. He has a lovely moment with Ginny, which we don't see enough, which was the beginning of him and Ginny's sort of relationship, if you will, their sort of moments together. No, and it's all coming to a head into one of my favourite scenes, not just scenes, like arc of the film, was Harry and Dumbledore they go off to get a Horcrux, and it's not just that they go off and get Horcrux and it's done really well and it's shot amazingly with Dumbledore and the fire and up against all the, you know, sea creatures and fighting them. That's done brilliantly. But for me, it's the dialogue. It's the
At times, I still see the small boy from the cupboard.
and him telling him beforehand what's going to happen, all that sort of stuff, and you know, listen, trust me, this is going to be horrible, we need to do this, and he has to force him the water, and you know, he turns Dumbledore, he gets angry and upset, but you know, Harry's like, no, you gotta, you know what you said. I know, I'm not doing it justice, but you know what I mean. The dialect between the two, between the whole scenes, before they go, when they go, and after they go, it's done fantastically well.
Because I'm much older, much cleverer, and much less valuable.
And then, of course, the big final, the big end, if you will, very emotionally done, where, of course, Professor Dumbledore meets his end. Harry torn because, you know, should he have done something, shouldn't he not? He listened to Dumbledore, did as he said, but should he have? At the time, betrayal from Professor Snape that we thought and felt, you know, it was horrible. It was, you know, really emotional. I love the dialogue again between Draco and Dumbledore. You know, he's not angry. He's trying to, you know, he's understanding Draco's point. And he's trying to help him away from this dark choice. But he knows, because he knows it needs to happen. But he doesn't want it to be Draco, because he doesn't want that to affect Draco, and still wants to, you know, help Draco. He knows it needs to be Snape, and in the end, he pretty much begs him. I love that little look down to Harry just before it happens, this is the last time I will see you, this is goodbye. Very sad. And then we get that amazing moment afterwards of all of them putting their wands to the sky for Dumbledore in a stance against darkness. No, I loved it. Harry, in his anger, goes after, you know, Snape, a bit like he went after Bellatrix in Order of the Phoenix.
You dare use my own spells against me, Potter.
And wants to fight and use his new spells, and then we get the big reveal that, of course, Snape is
I'm the half-blood prince.
and the ending of Harry being like, "Sonny, I know I'm on Dumbledore's mission. I need to go get the Horcruxes." You know, this, and it sets up the final two films very well. No, I love Half-Blood Prince. Amazing movie. In at number 1. Deathly Hallows Part 2, 9.5 out of 10. A really great ending to the Harry Potter franchise. I love this movie. It's done brilliantly well. You know, when you've loved a franchise for so long and it sets up so much, you really hope it does it justice and it finishes strong, and it does. It finishes strong. I love this movie. It's done so well. I love the pacing of the film because of the way it's set up in Part 1, which, although did feel that film lacked a little, but it allowed Part 2 to just be non-stop. We know the mission, there's Horcruxes, and it flows because we just go from one to one to one. You know, it's like we're climbing a ladder. We know each step gets us closer to our destination. I think it's done brilliantly well, shot very well. You know, they're adults, but, you know, you still have that almost inner child feeling because of the journey we've been on for so long. The way it was shot, the battle at Hogwarts, visually stunning, you know, with the Death Eaters flying over, the destruction of the set, obviously, of Hogwarts and the building, the way it looks so great. I imagine, again, a lot of practical, really good visual effects with the flying, you know, the wizard spells here, there and everywhere. There's so much going on, but it looks brilliant. It doesn't look overwhelming or anything. We get emotional moments. We have loss in this film. We have triumph in this film. You know, heartbreak. You hit all the key things are hit. No, I love it. It's set up for the big crescendo, Harry Potter versus Voldemort.
Harry Potter.
We go through the film at a very good pace, ticking off Horcruxes as we go, landing emotional moments as we go as well. With Harry, with Ron and Hermione finally getting together down in that amazing scene in the Chamber of Secrets. We get, I think, a really underrated scene, which is Luna and Harry, and they go and speak to Rowena Ravenclaw, and the little dialogue there of the past with Voldemort and how he did the same thing, but Harry's different. I really like in the way Voldemort reaches out in the head and speaks to them. I love the way that's shot, and I think it's done brilliantly well. And then, of course, we have the really big moments in this film that really it's so rewarding when something pays off, when you've invested so long on something and it pays off. And what I mean by that is the emotional moment that you felt when Professor Snape was killed by Voldemort,
You have your mother's eyes.
which was done very well. But not just that, the aftermath and the huge reveal, which in me is one of the best scenes in all of sci-fi fantasy cinema history, where, you know, he takes Snape's tears and this whole plot that we didn't know, if you've not read the books, is unveiled, that Snape this whole time has been the good guy. He's been helping Harry against his own things, because yes, he may not be a big fan of Harry and he sees too much of his father in him, but for the love that he had for his mother, he's been helping Harry this whole time, protecting Harry, helping behind the scenes, even when Harry thinks he hates him. No, he's been caring for Harry. Dumbledore, is he a good guy or is he a bad guy? He's sort of, you know, it paints him in a bit of a bad light in the way that he's been prepared to use Harry a bit and manipulate Harry into certain things. But I believe Dumbledore did what he did because he knows of what needed to happen, helped Harry along the way, and eventually set up a way for Harry to walk away after it. But did do some, you know, questionable things along the way, but for the greater good, in my opinion. But yeah, no, and a really emotional scene. It all comes to a head. Harry realises, and at that moment we think, oh, it means that Harry has to actually die. It's heartbreaking. You know, we get the scene where he goes to the forest, the emotional, you know, moments with his family, using the resurrection stone to speak with them one last time and prepare himself. That dark, somber mood when he walks up into the forest against Voldemort. Hagrid, the pain we hear in his voice, and gosh, Voldemort, you know, the boy who lived, come to die. Avada.
Harry Potter is dead.
Done brilliantly. I'm bald, I can say it, I look like him. And then an unbelievable scene, shot again fantastic. It looked beautiful. Harry in this white light place, of course, King's Cross Station. And again, the final time we have this amazing dialogue and scene with Dumbledore, who just says all the right things in all the right metaphors, and it just makes you feel really good. And of course sets up the final huge battle of Hogwarts. Harry versus Voldemort. Goes toe-to-toe with him in a really awesome way. Ron and Hermione taking care of the snake, and you know, it felt grand, it felt big. I would have liked just a little bit more of spells, if you will, instead of just red versus green, you know, naming spells a bit more toe-to-toe, getting more of the upper hand of each other. But visually it looked amazing, especially that final arc. They're dirty, they're you know, hurt, they're broken, there's blood, there's everything. They've been going at it in this huge battle, and then the light hits each other in this final big showdown of wizardry. I loved it. And of course it ends brilliantly. Harry wins, as he should, defeats Voldemort. You know, Neville steps up the last moment, becomes a hero. Defeats the snake, and all the Horcruxes are destroyed, and victory is ours. No, a brilliant film. I absolutely love it. I love the whole franchise. It's done so well. Shot so well. The acting, you know, the cast, the characters, Hagrid, Professor McGonagall. Characters might not get a lot of mention, but their scenes and their moments in the film had real depth and added, you know, a lot of emotional undertones and moments. You know, Luna Lovegood for humour and wackiness. You know, I would like to have seen a lot more Harry and Ginny though, and their story play out a little bit more. But no, again, I liked the redemption of Draco in so many moments. I think that, you know, there was a shot where he actually hands him the wand. I think they should have kept that in the film. You tell me. But yeah, no, that's where it is on the list. Number 1. And that is the end of this Harry Potter ranking. Well guys, I hope you liked today's video, talking all things Harry Potter. Let me know if you did down in the comments below. Let me know what you agree with, what you don't agree with. Please smash a like button. It really helps the channel grow in these early days and get us out there to the people that hopefully want to watch this sort of content. Subscribe if you want to show support and watch future stuff like this. Comment down below videos you want to see. Of course, this was a requested one, hence why I've done it. Yeah, thank you all for the support, guys. I'll catch you in the next video. And as always, adios.